Hi, everyone. We're going to go through a very important study that I came across multiple times during my research in my master's program. And it highlights the fact that just standing to offset sitting doesn't negate the deleterious effects of sedentary lifestyle. So let me preface this by citing 3 studies quickly. And these 3 studies will tell a story to you. Number 1, the first study I want to cite is differences of energy expenditure while sitting versus standing, a systematic review and meta-analysis. Basically, in short, they compiled all of these studies, put it together in the bucket, distilled it, had really smart people go through it, and then come up with a result. And the result is really, in my opinion, lackluster. So what does that mean? It means the difference between sitting and standing are so nominal. Here is the real difference. If you were to sit versus stand for 6 hours, let's say you stood 6 hours straight instead of standing, you don't experience any incredible metabolic improvements. You don't improve better VO2 max. There's no significant metabolic changes in your body, other than the fact that after 6 hours of standing versus sitting, you would have consumed enough calories in addition to sitting that offsets half a banana. So to help you guys kind of understand the difference, that's about so it's about 15% more per hour. So if you were burning 1 calorie a minute while you're sitting, you're burning 1.15 calorie per minute while you're standing. Not a lot. So if you were to do this, this is where it gets really shocking. Let's say standing 6 hours a day is not easy. I mean, when I was a kid and we worked as a busser, as a waiter, worked in retail, standing 6 hours a day was not easy. So if you stood for 6 hours straight, you're burning on average about 60, 70 more calories, depending on your size, weight, your resting metabolic rate. Just call it 50 or 60 calories. That's just not a lot, right? And if you compiled all of that, not compiled, if you compounded, if you added all these days up where you stood 6 hours a day for 360 days out of the year, plus or minus, you will have lost, depending, you didn't eat more because you're standing. Chances are you're going to eat more because you're standing, not sitting. You're going to be able to reduce about 5 pounds. That's shocking, right? That's nothing really so substantial that I wouldn't do it. I mean, I'd just sit down. What's the point? Unless sitting down hurts your back, why stand when you can sit? And it's probably more comfortable, especially if you're working. I mean, listen, I can do a standing podcast, no problem. And why? Why? It's more comfortable sitting down. I can remain, virtually stable, and I can navigate certain things I need to do to have this podcast with everyone. So, what's the secret then? Okay, glad you asked. That moves us to the second study that I wanted to touch on. So we realized that standing and sitting had very minimal differences, right? Now we want to look at the second study, which is prolonged sitting negatively affects the postprandial plasma triglyceride lowering effect of acute exercise. In other words, all of the benefits of exercise are negated if you sit for too long. So let's say we exercise in the evening and then we don't exercise again until the following day. And in between the bouts of exercise, all we did was sit. All we did was sit. Well, in this study, it says if all you're doing is doing one bout of exercise, and this is as I know one of the citations may not be in this specific research study, but another one, I can't quite remember, cites that if you ran an hour in the evening and you just remain sedentary, all of the benefits of your triglycerides lowering, meaning how effective you are in breaking down fat so that your body can then now transfer the fat and turn it into energy, is negated when you sit too long. So we now know the difference between standing and sitting is nominal. We know that sitting too long, even if you exercise, isn't good for you. Then what's the solution? So the solution must be not just one bout of exercise, right? But multiple short bouts of exercise spread throughout the day. And the third study is a study that was done out of Duke University. And this is nothing that nobody doesn't know already. I think most of us knows this or inherently knows some version of it, which is if you're exercising daily, you're going to experience benefits to your health. Metabolically, you're going to feel better. Psychologically, you're going to feel better. And even if you were to just do 30 minutes of walking and nothing at all, it's still better than just sitting. But in relation to how your body touches on postprandial plasma triglyceride, the benefits of exercise in terms of improving plasma triglyceride is less significant to not significant at all if you don't pepper movement, meaning now if I talk about this spontaneous activity, exercise, snacking, non-exercise activity in between bouts of longer exercise. So these three studies, and let's just kindly bear with me, let's pay homage to the scientists. On the first study, differences of energy expenditure while sitting versus standing, a systematic review and meta-analysis. I'll put this in the show links, but nevertheless, Farzan Saidfard, that was a hard one. Jose Hinojosa, I apologize. Marta Supervilla, Thomas Olson, Firen Sommers, Patricia Irwin, Francisco Lopez Jimenez. And then for the next study, which was prolonged sitting negatively affects the postprandial plasma triglyceride, lowering the effect of acute exercise, Il Young Kim, Sung-hee Park, Ting Hung Chu, Justin Trumbold, and Edward F. Coyle. And then finally, the last study, which was done out of Duke University has William the effects of exercise amount and intensity versus a combined exercise and lifestyle intervention on metabolic syndrome in adults with pre-diabetes, a STRIDE PD randomized trial. And the authors of the study, William C. Bennett, Catherine Collins, Johanna Johnson, Chris A. Slens, Leslie Willis, Connie Bales, Kim Huffman, and William E. Cross. All right, we did it. Thank you. And we send our appreciation for these scientists and researchers and doctors for making this podcast possible. So what do we think is the intervention here now that we've gone through all of these kind of all of these research? I know I touched on the 1 minute exercise, which is suggesting that if you did 20 seconds of vigorous exercise followed by 2 minutes of rest and you repeated that, you would get similar effects of exercise that was equivalent to, say, 50 minutes. There's another exercise program that was developed by one of these researchers that's pretty interesting. And this specific exercise touched on working at a high intensity for 4 seconds and then resting for 45 seconds and then working hard for 4 seconds again, repeating. And the point behind this is that if you did this study this way, most people can probably do 4 seconds of exercise and relax. I'm going to put this study in the show notes, but this just gives you an idea, and I'm going to cover it in a different podcast because this could be a podcast on its own, but this is just giving you some insight that you could do 4 minutes. However, according to the study, that doesn't mean you're free and clear. So how do we incorporate a regimen where we technically do one bout of exercise, which we either 30 minutes of walking, 1 minute, 20 seconds hard, split between 3 bouts with rest in between, or 4 seconds hard, rest in between. How do we sprinkle exercise throughout the day? It is not that hard. It's not called exercise. It's called non-exercise activity. It's called non-exercise activity, thermogenesis. It's called spontaneous activity. It's called exercise snacking. And this is what you do. You need visual cues. You need visual cues and audio cues. I'm a cue. Every day, throughout the day, when you see my podcast pop up or you see an image of our podcast, that's a visual cue for you to do something for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. That's not exercise. That just involves movement. So these visual cues and these audio cues can be set by you, but you need to have that intention. That intention is, today is the week of June X. And my intention is to make sure that every time I see this, hear this, that I'm going to get up and move out of my seat and actually create movement, create acceleration, and apply force, right? So standing there's really no force. So what's a really easy thing for you to do? And I've been really thinking about this for everyone. It's as simple as not even walking 1 flight of stairs. Go half a flight. Go a fourth of the flight. Just go up and come down. Go up and come. Remember, this is not moderate. This is not intense. This is just a little bit of low weight bearing. You're not counting steps, and then you do so. Now, that's an intervention you can apply maybe twice a day, 3 times a day. That takes maybe 10 to 15 seconds. But the majority of your intervention should be, and I hate to use the cliche counting steps, but you should. I'm not much of a step counter. I'm more of a time counter. So when I go out and exercise or run, I'm more worried about how much time I'm out there for versus how many miles I ran or how fast I ran those miles. At this point in my life, I'm not too worried about that. So for you, it's like, how do I just get out of standing or sitting still and move for a couple minutes every hour and sprinkle in the bout of real exercise, that 10-minute exercise or that 1 minute hard, intense exercise with the 4-second exercise in between my day. That will create an optimal effect on your health. Do these short, non-exercise activity paired in with exercise, whether it's the 10-minute, 4-second, or your 30-minute walk, with reduction of processed food, replacing any wrapper, any Kind bar, any Cliff bar, any bar with fruits, nuts. Maybe you make some popcorn on your own. That's actually not too terrible. Just the cleaner version of the popcorn. But I think nuts, seeds, and fruits are a wonderful way to snack in addition to this exercise / neat intervention. If you can do this for 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to see positive results on your health span and for sure your lifespan, which is your longevity. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. It's Saturday. I just wanted to get this in, give you guys a little bit of inspiration to get out there and move. But all of the markers do show that sitting for a long time is not good for your health. And sitting is not the new smoking. Standing and sitting, not moving, is the new smoking. Okay? Thanks. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Bye.